In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. So where did we leave off?
I think we should take it back a few pages.
I think we should take it back a couple books. Come on, let's go back to book 12 where everything was safe.
Okay, so Loren and Chapman are prisoners? Do we want to call them prisoners of the Andalites?
They're unhappy guests. Not unwilling, but unhappy.
They're like slightly miffed guests. They feel
like I would rather be elsewhere, but I am coming here from a place I wish to be less. So they were kidnapped by this Skritna.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Remember them? And then they bring them back to the Andalite ship off the Skritna ship. They show them around. They have a dandy old time in the grass. She does cartwheels. She teaches them about her non-skin clothing.
Yeah, she says, big stretch.
She does.
They're having two very different reactions to meeting the Andalites. Loren, who is very flirty with Elfangor, she's doing her best garden state
impression. Is it flirty already?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's flirty.
It was flirty in the garden, for sure.
What was the first moment?
The garden meaning the garden on the Andalite ship, not the garden Cassie's
Well, but
parents'
the state of the garden state.
No, she's like bold and brash, and he's like belongs in the trash. No. He's like very mystified by her, and Chapman's a dick.
Yeah.
He's more than a dick. He's psychotic.
He really is. He's like, oh, my daddy got PTSD and numb.
It's so insane. Like, he is going out of his way. I don't even know. Like, it's like, do you remember the movie Armageddon where Steve Buscemi loses his shit and tries to kill the entire human race? It's as though Chapman is out the gate with that shit. Yeah. Like, he's just like,
So, we've put the children to bed, we've put the humans back in their quarters, and suddenly, we do a hard pivot.
Yeah.
We do a hard pivot, and the opening to chapter 7...
I thought the human tucking in scene took a little too long. I thought, like, the whole, like...
the little mouthless forehead kiss.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Why
not
are you
hard
just
to
bumping
imagine
your chin on me?
Elfangor tucking Loren in, but I think maybe Arbon tucks Chapman in.
Tucks Chapman
in.
Yeah.
Tucks Elfangor.
Nobody tucks Chapman in. Chapman tucks himself in. Like
that's what Chapman's motto is. Nobody tucks Chapman in.
Yeah.
Nobody tucks Chapman in. You know what? The saddest thing is imagine if humans. Have you ever tucked yourself in? I've never done it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But the whole like chop getting the blanket under.
Yeah,
you,
it's like hard to do to yourself, but yeah, I've done it.
Who tucks the tuckers?
Yes, we've tucked Chapman in, we've tucked Loren in, and then basically an alarm starts going off, right? Like they call Arbron and Elfangor to
It's like.
Well, they call Arbron first. They're like, Arbron, come here. Elfangor, go tuck in the children. And then when Elfangor gets there, he goes, this is the beginning of chapter 7, Arbron, and I am going to say to you, what? Leave the ship?
Good callback. You've been holding that cliffhanger for a whole month. I don't know if you know, but we were.
Is that where we left off last time?
Yep, that is exactly where we left off.
I do want to hit one thing. I want to hit one thing from the last chapter, not to undo Miranda's brilliant pivot, that we all agree deserves. If I had like a little flyer or like the things you hold up at ice skating things, I'd hold up tents. They talk about living in cold places. And Chapman seems to go out of his way here to defile his own character.
It's true.
And he goes on this rant of like, we're not going to be kept out of a place just because the weather's bad. We adapt. We grab whatever's available and make the best of it. At least that's my motto. Grab what you can. And then the dog bounty hunter theme starts.
Dog the bounty hunter.
It's not a good motto to have. Grab what you can. It's
No.
a fucking stupid motto. It's really dumb. Unless you're a rock climber,
Yeah.
I feel like then it's
Grab
actually
what you can,
grab
yeah.
what you can. That's pretty good
Life
for a
or
rock
death,
climber.
yeah.
Life or death there, yeah.
Good bumper sticker. So yes.
So-
Life or death.
What? Leave the ship? What do you
Better
mean?
keep both of those in.
What do you mean, leave the ship? And Arbron's looking at Elfangor and he's like, hey, they just told me. I didn't know. They just said you and the other one, you're going to Docking Bay 7 in 10 minutes. And I said,
Incidentally-
okay.
I don't know why I have this accent, but I just
Exactly.
keep the bosses happy. But I will say this. We are starting a sitcom on the Star Sword called Docking Bay 7. It's
Oh
gonna
my
be-
God. It's like
Yeah.
Cheers. Alloran opens a bar.
Yes. It's like Quarks on Deep Space Nine,
Yes.
right? But it's Cheers.
The
right,
cranky
exactly.
commander who has a mysterious past and
Yes,
That's
it's
right.
always. Oh my God, it's exactly like Deep Space Nine. Docking Bay 7 is a fact. I'm calling that. That is a K.A. Applegate veiled Deep Space Nine reference.
Yeah.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
Docking Bay
Speaking
7.
of Alloran, here he is, because we just found out that he is the commander we're going to meet for Elfangor and Arbron. They're going to be under the watchful eye of War Prince Alloran Senator Caress.
disgraced War Prince Alloran. But no one knows why he is.
Details, Eddie. It's details. It's still a big title bump for us.
I do love that he's just like, yeah, everybody knows. We don't know what happened.
And we get a phrase, my heart sank into my hooves. That's Elfangor.
Oh, I love that.
When he hears that Alloran will be there.
Which you got to be careful about, because if you cough, your heart will come right out.
They lose track of the anatomy of these creatures constantly. So, we're in Docking Bay 7.
Yes, we go to Docking Bay 7. They've never been there. They're like, who knows what's in Docking Bay 7? Nobody goes there. And so they go to Docking Bay 7, and the humans are there with Alloran.
Yes.
And he gets a cool little rundown. They say he's like, he looks kind of metallic. He's not very blue. He's also kind of small, on the smaller side.
But even more impressive than him is that he has a very cool ship. It's like a custom ship that he made.
God. That ship. The Jahar.
Ooh, neat name. Where does that come from?
It's his wife's name.
Ew! You can't name your car, your motorcycle, or your spaceship after your significant other. I just would advise against it. Please don't do that.
All right, honey, I'll have a good time. I'll be inside you all along.
She's not dead, right? It's not named for like a deceased wife. It's just...
No, he doesn't give that impression. He just goes, you like it? I designed it myself. I call this the Jahar. It's my wife's name.
But that comes right after Elfangor is saying, "Oh, she was a thing of beauty. I had never fallen in love with a machine before, but oh, that ship was sweet." It's so lame.
He does also
it's not even
pretty
a
lame.
call the
thing.
ship his little toy. And then he says that...
Yeah, he's like, "I see you like my little toy." Yeah, gross, gross. That's some toxic
And
shit.
then Alloran reveals that the mission they're being sent on is to take the humans back to Earth.
And to erase their memories.
Yeah, and then to erase their memories and
I'm
come
pretty
home.
sure he just blurts that out on broadcast
Yeah,
in
he
front of the two humans, which is like so annoying because he could have just sent that in a work DM and we could have worked it out
That's
later.
right.
But now we have to explain that we're going to Men in Black these kids.
Lauren's immediately upset. She's like, erase my memory. What? No, nobody's doing that. And Elfangor tries to like calm her down. He's like, it's necessary, babe. Your civilization's not ready.
And this might be the first thing that Chapman and Loren are on the same page about, because they're both just, like, Chapman's, like, snorting in the background, and they're both just upset that this is what's about to happen.
Yeah, and the Andalites don't seem very enthused about their mission either. They all seem to feel that they're just being pushed off onto a low-stakes mission.
Oh, this is busy work. This is capital B busy work. This is capital lowercase b busy work. It's the worst kind of busy work.
But the ship's nice. They got good quarters. They got a good time. And when they launch, they see Saturn.
Which is cool, because I like that, because that's where the Vliet came from.
Oh, wow, I forgot that.
I don't know why I like that, but I'm just like, yeah, I was realizing that on my reread, and I was like, oh.
Chapman's reacting to the fact that they're doing faster than light travel, and I think, is it Arbron who tries to explain Z-space to them?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not faster than light. We're moving at a completely safe, normal speed in a dimension that doesn't exist, which allows us to...
No, but then the interesting thing is like later they do talk about speed in Z-space being an issue, which is very bizarre. I mean, you know, if space and time are linked, then speed moving through space, like, you get a lot of hand wavy stuff. I'm not saying they did anything wrong here. I kind of like it. And I like that they describe Z-space in a little bit, and I'm just so elated to have my first visual description of it.
Yeah, because basically what they're saying here is that they describe it as tunneling through anti-space, zero space, and then tunneling back out, sort of implying that based on what we know before, because zero space seems to be so dense, the points are much closer together.
They might be the same point.
They might be the same point.
Which is highly problematic for like what Marco was worried about with his little Marco mask
hanging out, yeah.
We find out that the trip, we don't know exactly how long it's going to be. They say it's going to be many days to get there, which I'm imagining like a few weeks. Is that what you two think?
Many days to me reads is like 6
I think it's more than a week.
But over the 1 week mark.
It's
10 days.
week?
I like 10 days.
I mean, I like 10 days. And frankly, that's what our vacation should be next year. So put that in your head.
We get some fun banter as they're all settling into the trip. Arbron wants to use the ship's computers for some mysterious purpose.
Yeah, he's going to use the ship's computers to look through the downloaded data from the Skritna ship.
But we don't know exactly what he's looking for. He says that he thought he saw something odd. Yeah, I think he's just like, something seemed weird about that. I want to look into that.
Which, speaking as a fellow exodatologist, that's exactly what I would say to my boss if I was unsure about something. I would say, let me get back to you in 5 minutes. And then I'd like go scramble and go look through everything and be like, I fucked up.
Alloran goes on a little bit of a mini soapbox moment about, this new ideal of a warrior who is also a baby. No.
Well, because we saw he's a little embarrassed about the fact that he's
an exodatologist. They did that in the old bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we feel about artists that are programmers now. We're like, oh, you have marketable skills and you're an artist? Fuck off.
Projecting?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Look, I've never heard anyone say that.
Loren says the new ideal warrior, scientist, artist, it's not enough to be a fighter anymore, eh? They want a gentler, more balanced, more intellectual sort of warrior nowadays.
Then Alloran just keeps on this track, because everybody's like, oh, I guess so. And he drops just like the dankest line, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's like, it says, for a while, Alloran said nothing. He just stared blankly, not at anyone, or at least not at anyone in that room. He says, the electorate wants war without slaughter. They want a clean, neat, honorable war. Fools.
Okay, Alloran.
It's such a good line, but I also feel like we don't have the context of why. I don't feel like we really get the context of why he's saying this. Like, we don't know that much about their history. Yeah.
It is really wild to me. these books just get better and better, and I'm just going to say that now. This book is by far my favorite.
Really?
Yes. I think, book 12 is my favorite, and then this book is oh my God, it's so
completely different books.
What
do
you
book
mean?
12's really your favorite outside of?
Book 12 had, unbelievable implications for how various Zero Space interactions. We would not know anything about Zero Space if it weren't for that book, and also for Marco Mass from book 10.
Yeah.
So the Saria Rip, the science is sketchy on that, because if the Saria Rip exists, why do you need Z Space, and how is Z Space not a part of
But
the
it
Saria
holds
Rip?
up with everything in book 12. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, book 12 is, oh my God, book 12.
Airtight.
It's it's airtight. It's like a Thomas Pynchon novel. I never read Thomas Pynchon, but I just wanted to compare it to that.
So Alloran goes on his little thing, and then everybody just sort of stares blankly. Elfangor's a little uncomfortable because he's like, you don't question the electorate. That's not something you're allowed to do. That people don't do that.
Arbron's trying to make conversation sir, the computer? Just trying to move things along.
Yeah, because he was just stuck staring into space.
I think Alloran's enjoying being mysterious and evasive right now. I think that he's crafted this image a bit. But it is funny that he's like this, but he's also kitted out his spaceship.
Wait a second. If you're saying that he has a flair for the dramatic and he is going to become Visser 3,
we do know that.
That is the thread. He's the theater kid, dude. He's the theater kid that when
oh my God, I didn't put together that Alloran's the one. I totally forgot about that. That he's...
We know that, yeah. I guess we did. We should have brought it up. We should have brought it up.
When I started the rants where I was saying these books are so amazing, book 12 is so good, what I was going to say is way back in book 8, we met Alloran.
We did.
As the body of Visser 3.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to bring up, and then I got self-conscious because I lost track of what I was saying. I was having too much fun.
But that's right. For the watchful listener, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I love it.
The watchful listener will have noticed that Alloran is a name that we've heard before. Alloran, Alloran. We don't know how to say it, but it is the Andalite that was vacated by Visser 3 at the end of Axe's first book.
When the Yerk voided his controller.
You can tell Alloran in book 8, he's just been sapped of all of his creative
he's so
flair.
weak, yeah.
Visser
He doesn't
3 's
even
taking
bring up
it
his
all.
hot spaceship, wife once.
No.
Nobody came to his fringe show. Nobody came. It was I paid for the insurance. I got the group rate. I don't know what to do.
And his friends were just I don't think Spokane Fringe is going to be where it's at. I just don't think.
But it is this is our theater kid, man, because it's we have obviously, your Yerk does a lot for your personality. When you get, I can speak from experience, when you get Yerked, you get a lot of your flair from that.
Visser 3 brought the confidence. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an actor who never was too scared to go out on stage. That's what...
He's like an actor who was so brave, he made the world his stage.
Yeah. And it's when a casting director is no, this person is actually perfect for this role, and you're going to see they're going to have a whole second career, because I know it. And then they cast them in that role, and then suddenly, Visser 3, bam, the universe is saved.
There is a word that, what's his name? Sub-07 uses later. I'm sorry, Mortal Kombat just came out, so what does he...
What, 30 years ago?
No, there's a new Mortal Kombat.
Unimproved. He says that taxons in their natural state are unimproved, and I thought that was so good.
Loren says that?
No, Sub-Visser 7
says that.
Oh my God, is it Sub-Visser 7? Then it must be.
I think so. Yeah. And I think,
well, then we need to cross.
This is a meet cute. This book is a meet cute of how Mr. 3
of how the guy met his body.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just did one chapter.
It's 8:00.
That's okay. We're moving now.
I think one thing that we're just going to have to admit about these books, if book 12 was as dank as it is, we're going to have to, this is a fine-tooth comb scenario. This is This is it, you guys. This is what we're here for. This might be the top of the mountain. And to not linger and enjoy it and take it in and be present for it would be a waste of our own lives and our listeners' lives.
Yeah.
So
read on.
So chapter 8.
It's a long, boring trip. They've run out of things to talk about. It's like that one point in a Survivor season when they've been out there a certain amount of time and they're past the polite stage, but they're not quite ready to actually start talking about real things. But
yeah, it's that stage where they just sit around talking about food.
Yeah.
This is interesting. We pop out of zero space halfway between the orbits of Earth and a planet Loren calls Mars. But between Earth and Mars, we had traveled through conventional space to get to Earth, and we had to keep our speed down so as not to distort time too much. So I misunderstood this when I read this the first time, and this is actually from Star Trek. At some point they figure out that max warp is actually bad for the universe and leaves permanent distortions in time and space that screw with causality. And they outlaw warp 8. You actually have to call into Starfleet headquarters or something like that to get permission to do it. So I think that this is about traveling in conventional space, not zero space.
I agree that it's about traveling in conventional space. There was a belief, and sort of is, but it's more complicated than it sounds, that as you approach the speed of light, your mass
Totally
goes up, but it turns out to not work exactly that way. So I initially thought that they were saying if we move too quickly, we would distort space via gravity from our mass.
Well, and I think K.A. Applegate and Michael Grant would agree. Slow down. You move too fast. You got to make the moment last, you know? Just kicking down a meteorite, looking for fun. I'm feeling groovy, baby.
I love when I reach lines like this, because this is highlighted. Miranda highlighted this line, so we had to keep our speed down so as not to distort time too much. I read that and I don't think about it. I just keep reading. But Chris and Miranda start going back and forth in the comments on it. And I'm like, I have no opinions about this.
So subscribe to our Patreon if you want to know what Miranda and my private Reddit conversation about
true.
that line was.
I did a little bit of digging.
You did research.
I did.
You got it's a whole paragraph. Well, our notes are like over 20 to 30 pages long.
Yeah.
Like you gotta subscribe with the $3 tier to get them.
But
Highly
basically,
worth it.
if you remember when everybody thought that the Large Hadron Collider was going to open a black hole, part of that had to do with how quickly, like how fast the accelerated particles were going.
They were going so fast,
So fast.
So fast. The book that
As you remember, Eddie.
Yes.
when everybody was worried about the Large
I
Hadron
remember the Large Hadron Collider. That's about it. I didn't know what it was doing. I knew it was scary, but... So this is why Alloran is just fully committed to this mysterious figure in the background. He's brooding at the helm or in his quarters, and this is what I remembered. Elfangor says Arbron seemed to have found some project to keep him busy. He spent his time at the computer muttering. So there's something
probably Minesweeper
going on there that we don't know yet. We don't know what Arbron's really started digging into at the computer. So Elfangor goes back to flirting with Loren.
That's all there is to do.
If my nerd boyfriend's going to be busy with his computer, I'm going to go flirt with this alien.
They're having a showmance.
Oh, they are.
That is what's happening.
Oh, also, whenever Elfangor asks Arbron what he's doing, he just says, unraveling a mystery. So I'm realizing he does say what he's going to do at the computer, but then it gets all...
Yeah, it's like he gets really pissy about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. So then Loren sits, which he's just baffled by. And then
how did you do that? He asks. And then she's like, what?
She explains the Mercator projection as though it were in front of him.
As though it were like truth. They're apparently staring at Earth, but the way that they're describing finding the United States on Earth is as though there was a Mercator projection map.
She says, and I quote, the one on the upper left part of the planet.
Like,
as though that were a logical sentence.
Excuse me. That doesn't make any sense.
But it works. Elfangor understands.
He figures it out. A lip is a mouth part. I'm sorry.
Wait,
That is the most. The most important. Hold on, we have to address this.
There's no lips.
there's no lips. Yeah.
You don't. So you're saying
No, but he does say I'd never had a
he
name
knew
for
with
it.
the lip.
No, he
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
say-
just part of your hoof. Otherwise, that is what
That
he
doesn't make
says.
any sense.
Miranda, they have lips in their hoofs with little teeth and mustaches that grow just above in between the hoof and the lip.
And he shows her how he can sing from his hooves, also a little chorus.
And he can harmonize with himself because he can sing with
I
both
trimmed
front
them to
hooves.
different resonant frequencies.
You just hate the truth, Miranda.
So she starts telling Elfangor about her life at home. And she says her mom's dying of worry, and Elfangor gets really confused about that. And she's like, it's just an expression. She's not really dying. I think this is also where she talks about her dad. So this is the part we were anticipating. And how her dad was in the military, and they'd recently had a war, and he basically came back with PTSD, right?
Yeah.
Right, because like she's like, isn't your mother worried? And he's like, yeah, explaining that he had been born into a war culture, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah, because she's like, my mom's worried, and he's like, oh, well, hopefully she won't have to worry soon. And she's like, do you have a mom worrying for you at home? And he's like, kind of, yeah, you know, it's like, we're in a war, so my dad doesn't worry because he was in the military, so, like, he feels good about it, but my mom does worry that I might get hurt. And Loren says, yeah, we just had a war. My dad came back. And Elfangor is, like, his mind is blown. He's like, you don't have space travel. Why would you have a
what
war?
would you have to fight over? Yeah.
Because he says, who do you fight? As though there were no, like, he doesn't know of civil wars between the same type of creature anywhere else.
Which seems wild, right? Like,
yeah. Later we learned that there's only 3 different types of bird, big air quotes on bird, on the planet. So there's just a lack of imagination on this planet compared to Earth.
Well, they do want our planet to seem overly abundant, right? Like, we've got all these species. They've made that a big point.
we have maybe my favorite Chapman moment so far here. So they're having this heart-to-heart conversation about how they both come from worlds with war. And
you said that and it sounded like Chapman's a part of it. It's Elfangor and Loren. Elfangor
Chapman is
Loren
reasonable here. No, Elfangor and Loren are bonding. I loved it. He's right there.
Chapman's right there reading fucking like Ayn Rand books, just like a foot off.
I think he's staring at them disgusted because they're talking about their feelings.
Looking up from his Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah. So he goes, Elfangor asks, who do you fight? Chapman goes, we fight each other. Then he winks and goes, so, Loren, Daddy went nutso, huh? Another whacked out knob vet. I guess some guys can't take it.
Can you imagine publishing this in a book for children in the 90s, all of whose parents probably fought in Vietnam?
Yeah.
He's unhinged. It makes
Unhinged.
no sense.
So I don't want to. I'm left to wonder what the wink is about.
I think it's a watch this. Like, isn't she gonna be cute when she's unbelievably sad and crippled with grief? It's like, watch this. This is how we flirt with women. This is called a neg. Your dad is insane.
What life experiences? Like, what was Chapman like? Who was Chapman around before he was abducted by the script? Nah, like, what life experiences led to this?
But Alloran shuts it down. He overheard. And he's like, you ever been in a fucking war? I fucking thought not. Shut the fuck up. It changes shit.
Yeah.
But he says it much more cool and mysterious.
Like some sort of adult theater kid who had been in the war. It's the perfect amount of I've been there, but maybe you're hamming it up a little too much.
A little bit.
Like, yeah, it's like...
And then Alloran just goes back to flying, because it's also, we should point out, the ship is very small. There's really not a lot of places you can go besides your personal quarters that are not just around everyone.
Despite it being luxurious, which I don't understand, but they
Small
just...
but luxurious. It's comfortable,
and
well-equipped.
There's like cool... Yeah, there's like school... What's that? Feels like it's just kitted with Etsy science.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Newton's cradle. And
the Drinky Bird. He sees that for the first time and he blows his mind.
Doesn't he actually have a fountain on it? Don't they say?
Yeah, he has a fountain that somehow uses some sort of gravity trick to constantly refeed the waterfall, which is why I'm like, it was just a Drinky Bird.
Yeah,
it's just a little Drinky Bird.
There's something spiritual about him. That's what they're trying to...
I get that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get like science desk nerd from him. Like I see a lot of videos about those like perpetual motion machines where you drop a ball bearing down a metal thing and then it shoots back up and catches itself at the top and there's a little magnet that gives it the shit.
He shops at the Sharper Image or...
That's it. That's exactly what I was looking for.
He discovered the Sharper Image.
Thank you.
He invented it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So... Loren seems to be coming around to the idea that they're going to erase her memory. She's not happy. She's sad that she's going to forget him, but she's coming around.
Oh my God, that's exactly what I would have said if I was trying to not get... Like, I can't believe she didn't take that tech. Like, but how will I remember you? Is what I would say to a big hunky alien.
There's actually... This picks up after...
my memory.
Alloran has, like, he shuts down Chapman, and there's this awkward silence, and Loren goes... Anyway, and then she picks up with this.
Yes.
Tell me this. When you erase my memory, I won't remember any of this? Not even you?
And he says, nah.
It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the patriarchy. You're taking us home, and you saved us from the scritchy noses, which is possibly my favorite line of the entire book so far.
And Elfangor's a little confused by this. He corrects her to Skritna, and she tries to explain that it was a joke.
I know.
And
it was a joke. Maybe not a very funny joke, I guess.
And Elfangor replies, humor. Yes, Arbron does that sometimes.
But not you?
I guess I'm not very funny.
And then here we get into the wild shit, you guys. Here's where it just gets totally unhinged because everybody's of age here. Everything's, I mean, I assume, right?
I guess
they're not playing with strings, Chris. It's not like...
Yeah. This is some adult shit. Loren tossed her head in such a way. I'm sorry, I can't say this with a straight face. Loren tossed her head in such a way that her long golden hair shimmered very nicely.
Very nicely.
That's okay. I like serious guys. I guess if my memory's going to be erased, it won't hurt if I ask questions. So how come you don't have mouths? She asked. Oh my God! It's happening, you guys. It's fucking happening.
Chapman says... You can't just ask people why they don't have mouths.
That's rude. No, he doesn't say it's rude.
No, he actually says, Loren, how could he answer that question? He doesn't have a mouth. We do. Why do we have mouths? Stupid question.
I have a better question. He looked closely at me, focusing first on my stalk eyes and then back down to my main eyes, like he couldn't make up his mind where to look. Look, Elfangor, maybe we got off to a bad start, you and me, but I wasn't in a great mood, you know? But hey, you guys are really missing out on something here. Do you have any idea how much money we could get for the technology on Earth? This technology on Earth? I mean, you could ask for anything, even money.
And Elfangor's like, you know how much I've always wanted one of those. And Elfangor's like, what would we do with your petty human Earth money?
And you did this tastefully by laughing, but it says it was my turn to laugh, which proves that humor does exist in the Andalite culture. But then he says, okay, forget money. How about power? We could snap our fingers and have all the presidents and prime ministers on Earth waiting on us. We could rule. He sounds like Jason Jeremy McCall or whatever from the last
I bet his favorite show is Shark Tank.
Jason McCall. Yeah, Shark
and
Tank.
And then Elfangor's like, no, we have no interest in ruling other species because we're Andalites and we're morally
We already
good or
rule
whatever.
the entire galaxy.
But he says the Yeerks are the ones interested in that. But then Chapman tries to like bring him back in with like, well, then what about peace? We could use it to make peace. No more war on Earth. But Arbron cuts in and he's like, Elfangor,
I just read some stuff on Reddit. You have to come to the computer immediately. They don't like my post about astrology.
I like it.
I thought it'd be cute.
I like that it's Chapman saying no more wars. That finally, like, Chapman is the reason that Arbron finally unlocks this thing he's been working on for weeks now.
I don't think that's true, but I like the idea that it's like the moment he hears no more wars, that's when it
No
all like
more
slides
wars.
into place.
What is it? I asked Arbon as I came to stand beside him. I looked past him to the computer display. It showed a power field, lines of intensity in 3 dimensions, but it also showed lines extending strongly into zero space.
What does
It
the
was
scouter say
impossible.
about his power level?
I'm sure that's as good as my chapter 11 joke.
It's over 9,000. So Arbron is like, all right, come on. And Elfangor's like, what the fuck? Chill out. And then he looks at it and he's like, this shouldn't be possible. This is like the power levels, they're insane. The lines of intensity, 3 dimensions. And some line strong enough to go into zero space. And they're like, this is not possible. And Arbron's like, I thought everything in the fucking thing was junk, but something seemed weird. So I was looking through and I broke the encryption and I found this. And I think it's real. And Elfangor's like, no. And it's a fucking myth. Prince Alloran, you gotta come look at this. And Prince Alloran sees it and he has like the same reaction.
He's like, show me the picture. Show me.
Yeah,
I can't
picture it didn't
understand what
happen.
I'm seeing
Like-
here. Yeah.
And he's like, they would have made more recordings. And they look at it and finally they get all the things together and they cross-reference the data and they do all the things. And it's just a little white sphere.
It's basically a scene of them moving things around on the screen and going, enhance, over and over
Minority
again.
Report.
Yeah.
Enhance. And it's just like a little ping pong ball.
Yeah, and they say it had been hidden on the planet called Earth. It had been buried deep in the ground in a desolate-looking area of glowing sand, and a huge stone pyramid had been raised over it.
Hidden for 50,000 years, they imply, which is basically most of human history.
Yeah.
And it's
Which I had some confusion about the Chi timeline, but I think the Chi said that they came 50,000 years ago, left, and then came back like 20,000 years ago and helped. When did they build the pyramids? Because they helped build the pyramids.
I don't think we know exactly when the pyramids were built. We know when some of the pyramids were built. And there's like a general timeline.
But it's the time myth. What they think
Time
that they
matrix.
have found. The time matrix. I thought it was just a myth. That's what I was reading. Alloran suddenly looks 10 years younger. They're all suddenly, like, there had been a lot of like low energy on the ship, but now suddenly everything.
I just didn't realize that the time matrix would work that fast, that Alloran would...
Would immediately be 10 years younger, yeah.
It doesn't make... that surprised me. I don't know.
But yeah, this has been a long, boring mission to just take some aliens home, and suddenly they've discovered something that's been hidden for 50,000 years that a lot of people didn't even think was real anymore, or if it was, that it wasn't just out there somewhere. Somebody had to have it.
Yeah, I feel like it's like analogous to like you think, but like the dispute with the Yeerks is so short.
I know.
Right? That's what I'm thinking. It's like the time matrix was not like something the Yeerks even knew about or were looking for. They were just like,
Well, it
out and
sounds
out.
like everybody knows about it. Like it's
like a
this
story,
big
like the Holy
legend.
Grail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't even
So,
know whose
but-
technology it was. Like, we don't
No.
know who designed it.
But so Alloran is like, this is so important. Everything, the fate of everything is here and rests on this. So we can't take you home right now. You need to come with us.
Yeah.
You can pick the music, but we're not going to your house. Like,
He says they think that. So if you remember, there were when they first encountered the Skritna, when they were pulling over that first Skritna shape, a second one escaped. There were originally 2,
Yes.
and they think that that's where the time matrix is. They think it's being transported on that other Scripnaw ship.
It's still unclear to me what the evidence was for finding it, though. Like, how did they, I guess when they took the logs, there was images of the cargo, but that would imply that it was in the ship that they took the logs from. So I'm just, or maybe
it could
they
also
once
be in
held
communications.
it and then they gave it to the next ship. Yeah, okay.
Or it could be in communications, because if they were like paired, then in the back and forth between the two ships, they might have had it.
Sure, they might have sent pics of the thing that they just got.
Yeah. Check it out.
Matrix pics. Yeah. Tricks pics.
Tricks pics. There you go. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for
Tricks
kids.
Are for kids. For Scripnaw.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon.